Hey guys. Yeah. Back again. So with this next video, I want to go a little more into the disciplines as it relates to diet and then just general disciplines of being on the path. The white mage. Okay. And I've touched on it before in some other lessons, but I'm gonna go into it a little bit more in detail.
I got to poop.
You gotta poop?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, let's go poop.
Take our sweater off.
Okay, yeah, come on, take your sweater off. Okay, all right, come on, let's go. That's kind of perfect. Because one of my points that I was going to go into, my son just came in, said he had to go poop. Take him to go poop. Guys, when you study these things and you try to tread the path and you want to elevate your mind, one important rule, probably I would say one of the most important rules, you cannot let these studies and practices dominate and take over your entire life. That can be easier said than done, especially if you're the type of person that likes to dive in, like myself. But y'all, we have responsibilities. Some of us have more time than others. That's just where we are in life. Does it make it, better or worse than any scenario? Not really. Just sometimes that's where you are. Some of us have different, jobs that God wants us to do at that particular part where we are in our life stream. I'm fortunate enough to have some more time to be able to devote to teaching these lessons, right? But I still have a son, and I still have a family. And so I would actually be making bad karma if I was to let these studies take over so much of my life to where I was neglecting them. Does that make sense? Because see, I'm making good karma by teaching these lessons, right? By using my gifts to heal others, okay? But if I was to neglect my first responsibilities, my child, my wife, and the other people and animals and dependents that depend on me, then I would actually be making bad karma. Speaking of which, we'll get back. Third take. That's okay. My ideal setup is to just do them in one take. But sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You just got to do multiple takes. All right, so what was I going in? Yeah, our first responsibility is to our family. The best teachers teach by example. You don't have to be on TV. You don't have to be a big star. I don't have to be a big star. If we're all just good examples, then that's going to teach everybody else. That's the best teacher. Certainly. Yeah, God chooses, he chooses some out of the fold to teach more on a platform. He certainly does. But he looks for the example first. That's what it means to be chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. Oh, yeah. All right, so that was the first discipline, okay? Know our duties need to be fulfilled at home first. In a way, that's your first teaching ground as the man of the house or the woman of the house, as the leaders of the house. That is our first teaching ground, is our family, our children, the ones that we are directly over. All right. Second one, this will go into diet because I did bring that up a little bit too. And y'all, I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm not a doctor. Just telling you what works for me, okay? And I think it works pretty well. Proof's in the pudding, you know? Anyway, speaking of pudding, probably should avoid pudding. Y'all, I mean, I guess that makes a good point, you know? Sugar's bad for you. Yeah, sugar's not good. And we eat a lot of it. If you're not paying attention to your sugar intake, you will eat/drink a lot of it. And a lot of it's in those drinks. Monsters, Cokes, the fancy coffees from Starbucks. Oh my gosh, just the creamer alone that they put in there has so much sugar. And sugar will calcify your third eye, which is probably why they want you to eat a bunch. That's probably why they're like, eat it. I remember when I was a kid, too. And I mean, you know, doing other things is bad for it, too. But I remember when I was a kid and people would go on about how, like, this will kill you and this will give you cancer. And I remember, too, when I was a kid just thinking, like, what if the real killer was in the candy and in the sugar, in the sweets that, like, everyone seems to want to eat and intake. And, yeah, y'all. So, you know, what I do, and by all means, I mean, I'm not a perfect person, you know, whatever, but like what I do and it works for me, I avoid as much sugar as I possibly can. Do I ever have a cookie or something sugary? Yeah, sure. I had a cookie last night, you know. To counter any kind of bad food intake, you need to make sure that you stick with a fasting type schedule and stick with it. You know, I will say that's one thing I consistently do is keep up with an intermittent fasting schedule. 8 hours, 8-hour window to eat. The rest of the day, don't eat. It doesn't really matter what time that is, too. So you use that 8-hour window for your window that you're up. If you're up really early in the morning, you know, and it's also your choice of when you want to eat. A lot of times, I personally try to hold off. When I wake up, I try to go as long as I can before I actually eat. Now, I'll feed my son or anybody else before that needs to eat, but me personally, I go as long as I can. I'll go till the afternoon before I start to eat. Because I do enjoy dinner. I like eating I like dinner time. So as long as I can match that window to where I want, good. I eat meat. I'm very much a carnivore. I mean, I'm an omnivore. I love vegetables too. But I enjoy my meat. I like red meat. I like white meat. Pork, chicken, beef. I found that beef is good for me. Beef does better for my body. So I try to eat that more than anything on the meat side of things. Fish, oh man, I love fish too. But beef, you know, and another part of this too is understanding your body. What works for you, what doesn't. And being honest, not just being like, oh, well, you know, Starbucks pumpkin spice lattes works for my body. No, it doesn't. You know, that's delusion. Let's be real. But, no, in all seriousness, though, you can eat meat. You can eat meat and tread the path. You can eat meat and still have, you know, psychic ability. Yeah. Does it affect it? Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've noticed when I did do fast where I didn't eat meat and I, did a water fast for, 2 days, 2 or 3 days, oh, yeah, my sensitivities were definitely heightened. For sure. Yeah. So, just because I say it works for me doesn't mean there's no consequence. You know, that's another thing that we like to do in our minds is, make up these exceptions to where, I I still get everything. I still get the cake and get to eat it too, but I don't get none of the side effects. No, you do. There are consequences for every single thing, and that's universal law, okay? And I think I'm going to start going into that in some other future lessons, more about karma and universal law, okay? Because I think we like to just cherry pick what we want, and no, you gotta take the whole cake with it. You gotta take the whole pie, you know. Let's see. Meat, I like vegetables, man. Vegetables are so good for you. And I mean real vegetables, you know. I watch these guys. There's some guys on YouTube. They're super popular already. They're like doctor guys, and they talk about whole foods and like holistic, you know, lifestyles. And one guy I really like, he's from Atlanta. And, you know, I mean, I'm in Georgia, so, like, I like watching his stuff. And then there's another guy, he's out in California, and he's, like, super duper popular. But, like, I pretty much watch those two guys to get a lot of my diet advice from. And it works, you know. And the big thing that they push, and or I don't want to say push, but they enlighten you on, avoid sugar. Avoid carbs. You know, don't eat a bunch of bread. You know, like, do you need that bread all the time? No, you don't. You know, again, are there some gray areas? Yeah, a potato is a carb, you know, but potatoes also have a lot of potassium in them too. You know, I eat potatoes. Now, I don't load them up with a bunch of like margarine or, you know, other stuff. I eat like whole potatoes, you know. I get made fun of. I used to always get made fun of for how bland I like my food. And I just tend to not really overdo it. Just how I always had it, you know. But, you know, it worked for me. Because in the grand scheme of things, a lot of these seasonings and sugars and stuff like that have stuff. They have extra stuff they put in them that make them deadly. And the thing is, it's not a quick kill, right? You gotta realize when you want to boil a frog, like if you want to boil a frog, you're not gonna just dump him in there in hot water. He'll jump right out. You gotta do it slowly. You gotta slowly cook that frog. Not that I know how to do it, but that's just a metaphor. But you know, but it makes sense because like you know these things that we do, that we ingest, that we eat, you know. If you're not paying attention, yeah, they're slowly killing you. Making you unhealthy. Some symptoms, right, that you could pay attention to. One thing I noticed when I started noticing that the food I was eating was killing me is it would hurt my gallbladder and liver area. Right around here. Right under the rib cage. You feel a sharp pain. Right there. Yep. That's my first sign. That like, oh man, I should probably, you know, watch what did I just eat that made that happen? What did I eat the day before that? You know, start thinking about this stuff. One thing I do that helps, lemon water with apple cider vinegar in it. Put about a teaspoon or two in a cup. Drink it. Do it every day. Or whenever you feel like you need to. If you do it every day and you get consistent, then you could probably tone down to where you just need it, you know. Some of this stuff is like if you do a good job ahead of time and you get to the place where you need to be in your equilibrium, so to say, you could give yourself a little bit of slack, you know. But you got to be disciplined first to get there, right? One thing I need to work on, I'll be honest, be real, exercise and working out. I've actually been trying to do that a little more lately. For like the past like week, I've been consistently doing some kind of like weightlifting. Not big stuff. I don't have a gym membership, but something. You know, that's good for the mind. It's good for the body, but it's good for the mind. It's good for the voice too, believe it or not. Let's see. I hit the sugar. That's really the big thing, guys. I'm going to tell you, that's the big thing. Get off that sugar. That moon sugar. For my Skyrim fans. Elder Scrolls. When they going to give us a new Elder Scrolls? And I don't mean just another Skyrim. done bought it 3 or 4 different times. They got me, but I want a new one. Anyway, that's whew. All right, guys. Well, I hope this helped. I love y'all. Y'all have a good day. Bye-bye now.